Hi everybody, Geraldine Rose here. I did another trip around the sun. We're going to celebrate with a giveaway. My friends over on Instagram threw me a birthday party. Quite nice, actually. They asked, well, what do you like? I said, well, just mixed media, throw it in anything. I love colors. And the funny thing is, my card wasn't actually very mixed media at all, especially for me. It was quite simple. It was mostly a lot of stenciling all over the place, but still basically stenciling. And I was using the Altenew, the translucent foliage, stamping the front. I have not scored this card yet because I didn't want the images to get warped going over the little bumps. And I'm going to have to put in a secondary crease in this one for the fact that it's a double Z fold. Started on the front. I used a lighter green tone for the background. And the part that I've got masked off is the part that I'm going to end up doing the secondary crease on and bending it back. And that's what's going to start this double Z. So once we got that light green tone down, I am coming in with an assortment of the fresh dye inks in light blues with a little bit of purple just around the outside edge on each of them. And these flowers are really nice because they overlap. And so that's why I'm blending them with a very light hand so that they're not really, really heavy. The other reason I'm blending them with a very light hand is because I've got, let's see, the back, the front, the front inside, the envelope, and the top layer of flower. There's 5 layers, so to speak, of stenciling, and I wanted them each to be just a slightly different tone, again, to help with that depth perception, to give the illusion that things are farther away than they really are, even though we're basically working with like a 2D object here. Right now, I moved to the front inside of the card. You can see that I have backed the tones off on that, going with like lighter lavenders and blues with that one. Here, we're stamping the back. We're going to go lighter yet. This one is going to be basically all in blue tones. So I'm just repeating the same thing. I'm laying one color down through the middle, up to about 2/3 of the way up the flower. I'm using the slightly darkest tone around the outer edge of the flower and moving on, grabbing the next set of petals, of course, overlapping them. I've got them in a triad on the back, and I'm leaving space for the leaves because I'm going to do something different with the leaf stencils once I bring them in. Okay, and of course I've sped this up. I do not stencil quite this quickly, although I do find that it is a lot quicker than painting. It has made things so much easier now with the number of layering stencil sets that we've got. Here's the leaves. So I brought in a light green that will complement those colors. And I didn't stamp this because this is the back. I want this to be the most washed out in its tone value. And that's why I'm just putting a wee bit of green around the outer edge of the leaf. And I'm not bringing it all the way down with the stem because I don't want that to jut into where the flower is and overlap it. Okay, I am on the front going to accent the leaves a little bit more. So those ones I did stamp in a light green ink, and I've got them strategically placed. Come back in with the stencil. We'll fill them out with a little bit of that green in there. And what that does is, because when things are closer to you, the fact that it now has the veining on there for the leaves, it again is giving that illusion, that imagery that those flowers are going to be the closest to you. Of course, we gotta get splattered. So it's splatter time. And I didn't want to go in with a heavy splatter like one of the micas or a paint because it's more opaque. So I dabbed down some ink and spritzed it, and we're splattering it with a little bit of water. And then because in that manner it dries out, it's much more transparent. All right, we are going to do it's not a belly band, it's the bottom part of the Z fold. Use my anti-static powder on it because this is a light green vellum. And then we used that Simon Says stamp, Party Like Puffin, for the happy birthday with some Ranger Fine Gold embossing. You'll notice it's not scored yet either. And the vellum, I heat it from the back first, and then I go around the front. And here's the part where I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna curl this all the way around this thing, even though it's bending on me because it's blowing in the breeze. That was where I realized, oh wait, you got to flip this around to do your scores so that you can bend them the right way for the mountain and the valley. That's why I was flipping the card over. And so here, okay, I've got it. So, okay, all right, back's out. The back is out. All right, now flip your front back over. And there, this is how we start the Z fold. So the vellum, I got this out now that we've got the creases started, and put its one in, and I'm checking. It's like, okay, yes, I've got it with the right alignment, and double-sided adhesive, because it does not show as much behind vellum. If you put glue, it's going to curl quite a bit. I used one teeny little strip on the front part, and I knew I was going to slightly cover that up, so I was hoping it was going to be more hidden. Before we go any further, we had to throw the custom stamp on the back. All right, that was in green tones. And jumping back to putting the vellum on, finishing it off. So I've got the one side stuck down. On the other side, I've used a bigger piece of double-sided adhesive and did it all across its part that it was stuck onto the inside front of the panel. Okay. Oh, this was the flower that was going to be for the front, and the leaf. So this is going to be the one that's going to have the most contrast, depth. This is my Menazheimer searching for the word, people. The intensity of colors on this one, because this is the one that is going to show in your mind as most in the forefront. Again, anti-static powder, went in with my Versamark, and then I'm using, again, the Ranger Gold, so that we're carrying on that tonal value between the two so that we've got unity in our design. And using the die set that comes with this whole set. It's got the stamp, it's got the die sets, it's got an embossing folder, it's got the stencils. And this is where I'm using the embossing folder to run my flower and the leaves through. I did them each one at a time because my old Big Shot, it pushes things back through the embossing folder as it goes through, and I didn't want to run a chance that the others were going to get pushed out of their little spot where you slot them in. So this flower is the one that I'm going to have the brightest colors on it. And I went and bumped my inks up all one shade in the blues and the purples of the ones that I have here. And you can see that, oh, look at that hue. It's just like vibrating with some good color on it. And it goes really well with that gold, right? The leaves, we're using a little bit of the light green ink around the tip of the flower, or tip of the leaf. And on the bottom, a little bit of that sea breeze blue. So it'll help to cause some unity with all the others that we've got that have got like basically a two-tone color scheme going on. Again, splattering with the ink, with the water, and it will cause little rings to form, and it pushes the other ink out. Very nice, again, transparent effect. But we did come in with some Kuretake Gold mica, and with my fan brush that does really teeny little splatters. So it as well is pairing quite nicely with the gold embossing that we've got on. All right, so we're assembling. We are going to cover up the front fold that we had there with the leaves in a triangle shape so that you know brings your eye to that whole focal point in the middle. We'll cascade some strawberry shortcake shiny shiny bling bling down the front of it and on the leaves. Grab out the solid sentiment strips. I started out with a lighter green, and then it was so washed out against the vellum that I went in with a darker green that you're not going to see here. I love these guys, these sentiment strips. Oh, the better press, it stamps so clearly. Using my die to cut it out, and I did come back in with my swallowtail one, and I swallowtailed just the one side of it. The other side is going to tuck in under that bottom leaf. But first, well, let's put down some antique gold pigment around the outside, and I'm just swiping it. I don't really care where it ends up because that pigment will dry back, and it's just a nice little gilding type effect. All right, so we're just going to tuck the one side down here and, you know, set the rest of it in spot. The the envelope. I'm going to show you the envelope. So used the flowers and then the stencils around the flowers with the leaves again in the background. I did come back in over top of it with some splatters as well for when it gets sent out. And I made certain that they were a bit more muted because you don't want it to be crazy going through the mail, right? The machine's still got to read it. And what are we doing here? Oh, I was spraying it with some solar spray across the top. I got out the green one, Crocodile Tears. That's the finished card. So this is really simple for what I do. I know it's not like my crazy mixed media where I'm throwing everything in, but I didn't want it to be too much so that it would, like offset everybody else's. And it is going out to a friend whose birthday was just before mine, which I'm really happy about. So all of you, thank you for watching. And the giveaway I'm going to draw on June the 16th for the person, a subscriber that comments below. You all be that change you want to see in the world. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you all next time. Okay? Bye-bye, everybody.